Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Where today we thought we'd talk about that thing that all ward gamers must have and deal with.
Yes.
The pile of potential.
Is that its new name?
Well, it's not. Well, really, it's the pile of shame.
Yeah.
But we'd like to focus on the positive here. So the pile of potential, the pop, if you will.
Ooh, tasty.
So everyone's got them. Are they good? Are they bad? And how do you manage it?
I feel like you want to, if you already have it, you want to set up a schedule to paint or get through as efficiently as possible while avoiding burnout.
Well, let's start with the first question. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to have a pile of potential?
I would say no, not really.
I mostly agree. I think that the reason a pile of potential is bad is because what you buy, your models, they're not doing anything for you sitting on the shelf, right? Just because you brought them from the shelf in the game store to the shelf in your basement, right?
Yep.
What have you really gained? Nothing, right? It doesn't do anything. It's not getting to your table. It's not. I mean, it's done nothing for you. And so I feel like the pile of potential, and there's potential negative consequences too. Sometimes people might feel overwhelmed. Sometimes they feel like, well, I'll get to that when I get to that, and then they work on other projects, and by the time they get to this one, those models have been refreshed.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like there's a lot of negatives. I think there's a couple times when it makes sense though. One, if your pile of potential is very low.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have that much. So you're like, I'm about to finish this painting project, this diorama, or whatever you're making. And so I'm going to need something soon.
Talk about the time.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, this way, the instant I finish my diorama, the very next session, I can start building up something new.
Yeah.
Right. So small pile of potential, I actually think is sort of good. The other thing is, I think if you have a project in mind, particularly a kit bash project, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna make this diorama, but I want to replace the heads with these other heads, and this body doesn't quite go right. Ooh, and I need some green stuff to do. And so you're like, well, this project is so big. I have it, up here in my mind. I have an idea, but it's gonna be a while before I really can commit any significant time to it. But I can get the supplies.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like if you've got something that's more or less dedicated to a particular project, I think that's okay too. As long as that project is real.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have a project in your mind, and by buying things, you think you'll do it, and then it just sits on the shelf forever.
Yeah.
That's not so good. But if you have a real project that you really are going to do or have a strong likelihood of doing, I think that's okay too. But overall, I agree with you. I feel like if it's going to sit on the shelf, it might as well sit on the game store shelf.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not like Games Workshop stop. Now, board games and stuff like that, cards, they do go out of print. But the models seem to stay mostly forever. I mean, sometimes when an edition comes out or a battle tome, there'll be some cuts. There were some big ones at the beginning of third.
Yeah.
But in general, fourth, yeah, you're right. But in general, just a couple little cuts. So it's very rare, I feel like, where there's FOMO.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're like, oh, I better get this model now or I'll never be able to. And even when that happens, I feel like there have been times when that has happened in the past, and Games Workshop has said things like, hey, this is your last chance to buy this particular hero model, and then he's only going to be on made to orders or whatever, right? So I feel like the risk that if you don't buy it now, you might never buy it in the future, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
Maybe not zero, but pretty low. All right. So if having a large pile of potential is generally negative, what were we talking about before? How do we manage the pile of potential?
Set up a schedule for working.
Set up a schedule. Yeah. So I think that's right. Right. The more you work on it, the more you work on it, the more that pile is going to get smallened by your efforts. Right. Why a schedule?
Just so that you can have consistency.
I think that's important. So some people are like, well, I'll do it when the mood strikes me. And sometimes the mood will strike you, and it'll be great. But a lot of times, there's a new episode of that show you like coming on. There's, some of your friends are going to be playing online, so you want to play with them. Oh, I got to do this other thing. And so things sit. But if you can set aside the time and apply, instead of feeling motivated, if you can apply dedication,
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, no matter how I feel, at 7 o'clock on Mondays, I've got the time from 7 to 8. I'm going to paint on Mondays every week. I'm going to paint. Then the work will, or the pile will decrease. And plus, as you get better at painting, I think a lot of people, I feel this way about myself. I have more or less hit a plateau in my painting ability. And now painting's a skill like anything else. So if you dedicate yourself and you try to improve and you try new techniques, I'm sure I could improve. I'm sure I could. But I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty happy. And so as I improve, normally what happens is the models take less time. So instead of becoming a higher quality, my quality is tapered off, but the time it takes to reach that quality is getting smaller and smaller. So I feel like, if in that sort of situation, if you dedicate the time, the pile is going to go smaller, and it's going to go smaller more rapidly as you get better. What else do you think?
Not buying as many models to start with.
I think that's a key one. That is a key. The pile of potential only grows when you make it grow.
Yeah.
Right. They're not like sea monkeys, right? They don't just grow on their own.
That would be nice though.
Yeah.
Because then it's free.
Because then it would be free. Yeah, they don't multiply by themselves. You have to increase the pile. So just don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And I think so. There's I first heard it in the context of books, but I've heard it in some other contexts. In books, they say people who buy a lot of books, but when they still got a lot of unread books at home, they buy books thinking they're also buying the time to read them. And that makes a lot of sense. And I've heard that with board games. People will buy a bunch of board games even though they've got unplayeds at home because they're like, oh, they feel like if I buy this, then I'll play it. And it's the same with the plastic, right? Yeah. You buy the models thinking you're also buying the fun and the time that it's going to be to build it, and paint it, and play with it on the tabletop, right? And if you don't have that time, then simply forking over your money to put plastic on your shelf at home, I think you should only buy, well, in general, right? Rule of thumb. There could be exceptions. But generally, I think you want to buy more plastic when you know that you have the time, right? When you're like, okay, I've got a new project coming up. Okay, this one's about done. I'm looking for something new. Or, hey, I just played this game and I could really use some flamers of Zinch. So let's go ahead and buy a couple of those, right? When you have that plan, I think the pile potential is great. Get those things out of the game store, get them onto your hobby desk. But if they're not going to hit your hobby desk soon, leave them at the game store. They'll still be there. They'll still be there. What else? Well, I think that's probably the two best.
Yeah.
Don't grow it, right? Within reason.
Yep.
And don't, and then work hard to smallen it. And if you do those two things, the pile of potential, it's like working out.
Yeah.
Right? You basically, for most people, you will lose weight if you burn more calories than you consume, right? It's mostly sort of simple math. And in the same way, if you are painting more than you're buying, then eventually that pile of potential is going to smallen, right? Your completeds will be bigger than your uncompleteds. So I think those are really the two things to focus on. And some people might be better at this one than this one. Some people might be better at this one than this one. But as long as you attack it from both angles, I think getting a pile of potential under control is very manageable. And then once it's under control, keep it under control. You don't want to be a yo-yo dieter where you're like, oh, I finally got my pile of potential back down to only a couple models. And then you go to the game store and you're like, hey, I've got my shelf has room on it. It has room for more boxes.
Less crippled.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. So I would whatever you put in place to lessen the pile, keep those things in place or relatively in place to keep that pile small. And I think it'd be good too because you get the feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right. You get the feeling of actually moving models onto the table. You get the feeling of doing projects. And I know some people like to have multiple projects at once, a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the way I like to do it. You sort of like it.
Yeah.
And within reason, right? like when you're painting your spearhead, you paint sort of all the models together rather than, because I'll even do unit by unit. And I'll do piece by piece. I'll be like, all right, this unit, first all the boots, boots. Then all the skin.
How do you do it? Do you go inward out or outward in?
Inward out, almost always. Yeah, because once I paint the outside, then to try to get that brush in there, it's way too easy to accidentally touch something. And now you have to touch up what you painted before. Whereas if I try to get in there first and I make a little mistake, I'm going to paint over that pretty soon anyway.
I was the opposite with my iron jaws.
Yeah?
I would almost exclusively do the armor first and then the skin.
Why did you do that?
Because the green, for the most part, would go over the messed up paints fairly easily. Whereas if I did the green first, it would splash onto the armor and then look weird.
That is true because I have yellow armor, huh?
Yeah.
So with a lighter color, then those mess ups could come through, especially the darker green of, because you used orc flesh.
Yeah.
Orc flesh is sort of a more darker green.
Thingamabob.
Yeah, I could see that. So probably the color choices are going to matter there. I don't use a lot of yellow. I don't like it. I mean, I use it sometimes, but it's not one of my favorite colors. But yeah, good to know. Well, let us know in the comments below, and how you deal with your pile of potential. Is it something that you see as a good thing, as a bad thing? Is it something that you are working to reduce, or are you in sort of a bulk mode where you're looking to get as much as you can? You'll figure out what you're doing with it later.
Yep.
Let us know. This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.